line for a minute, but I out. All right, hello, welcome. Saturday. All right, welcome. Let's see, browser. Yes. Happy to get started here. So, first of all, hello. Thanks for watching. If you are new, my name is Tim. I go by FoamyGuy, and I am typically working on some stuff related to CircuitPython in various different ways. Today, we're looking into a relatively minor bug with Vectorio, which is a way that you can draw on displays with CircuitPython, where we have some sort of off by one issues going on with rotation. Before I do jump straight into that, if you want to learn more about CircuitPython, which is broadly the main topic I stream about, you can learn more at circuitpython.org. Basically a version of Python that can run on tiny computers like the one on the camera here, as well as all of the other 558 that are on the downloads page at circuitpython.org. You can basically write Python code that these little chips will interpret for you and execute, and you can then interface with other bits of hardware. So in the case of this, obviously we have a display. This one happens to also have a touch overlay, so you can get touch inputs. But different ones of these devices come with all sorts of different things attached, and in fact lots of them are just very generalized devices with not much attached by default, and you can hook up whatever you want. And so CircuitPython is a way you can program them. As always, thanks to Adafruit, CircuitPython is an open source project. Anyone's allowed to use it. Anyone's allowed to port it to your own hardware. But Adafruit is the company that makes it possible by paying the developers who work on it, including myself. So huge thanks to them, as always. And if you want to help support CircuitPython and Adafruit, one of the easiest ways to do it is just purchase hardware from their website at adafruit.com. And it is, if you're watching this video live or within the next day or so after it came out, you can use the promo code through the end of the 2nd of December in Eastern time zone, Acid Burn, which I put on the screen down there, Acid Burn 15, to get 15% off if you want to do that. So thanks to everyone who does purchase hardware from them to help keep this whole thing rolling. So I'm going to jump straight back into the Vectorio rotation thing that I was looking at last night on the deep dive. If you are interested in this, if you find yourself watching this but didn't catch the deep dive and want to see a bit of a precursor, you can check that out. I will say, obviously, you know, we're here, we're still working on it, so we didn't solve it back then. But if you want to see the journey of getting to where we have so far, which is mostly just adding print statements and trying to understand how the inside of this works, then you can check out the deep dive from yesterday. I did just add this bit right here. I haven't actually compiled and run this yet, so I'm going to start with that. This is... Okay. Is that not the... That's Unix, though. But it remembered where we were at, but just not the... Not at all the commands and stuff. That's fine. Make... Loader. So I just added this extra print statement. One of the few changes that I did attempt to actually fix this was, we're off by 1. So I tried removing these plus ones, and it did make some of the numbers look more correct to my eye, at least. But it did not actually fully solve the problem because it prevented anything from getting drawn. In the case of the 1 by 1 rectangle, which we're currently trying to draw, it might have drawn some bits if we had a bigger thing. But right now I'm working with just a 1 pixel thing to try to really narrow this down specifically. Okay, there's a build. We got bootloader, so we can copy build PyPortal firmware. Then this is going to print, see it till we connect. Then, yeah, I should turn area fill. Let me turn this one off. Go any further. So I scrolled past that probably 100 times yesterday. That's actually going to be all of these. All right, well, I'm going to leave it for now. Did print less. Especially for a 1 by 1, it's curious how many times this gets called for our current example, which is just a 1 by 1 pixel. Not entirely sure why that is, but not necessarily. So I have added the ones that say Canon something. Scroll away from Canon shift, for Canon shift. So yeah, I added this print statement to try and figure out, because like we're manipulating out area here. This is get screen area, the function we were looking at yesterday. If transpose xy is true, then we are going to manipulate the out area. You know what we are doing here that is int xy. Where do these go? These get used again? Go. Okay. Yeah. Those are not getting printed, actually. It might be nice to see what those are coming out as. Not sure what they really represent all the way, but... good to put some other kind of spacers. So are gonna int the I'm gonna build this one too, and let's start looking at stuff. Curious what the x and the y end up doing. But anyway, so in transpose xy, we've got these manipulations to out area, and we ultimately go and print out area down here, which is where we saw some of those values coming out off by 1. Good morning, Yano. But it did occur to me that we manipulate the out area in here. In the else case, we manipulated a bit in here, but we didn't print it until here. So we have these two things which could presumably also alter the out area before we get to the print here. So my thought is maybe let's print it before we do those, and let's see kind of what those are doing and see if there's some chance that inside of there is where we've gotten off by 1. Hope you had a nice Thanksgiving. Yeah, for sure, I did. Hope the same for you as well. Yeah, ate some yummy food, hung out with a bit of family. Gonna hang out with some more family this evening if it doesn't get too crazy. It's snowing a bit here. I don't think it's supposed to snow too much, but it's snowing a bit. Okay, so here's one of our cannon shifts before cannon shift. Okay, and this is in the constructor, which is really before we get to the part that does ultimately have the off by 1 error. So we end up with a shape dirty, another get screen area. So here is our out area before cannon shift. So it's cannon and shift. I printed cannon shift just to get straight. I have no idea what, I don't know, what would that, cannon, I don't know what that would mean. The area cannon. Just exist, huh? Area. Area A x1. So if A x1 is greater than x2, I guess temp probably equals x1. So it swaps. Okay. Cannon. Is that a common term? Is that a... I don't even... What would that be relevant to? Displays? Like coordinates? Canonical? Does that mean in order? Okay. I'm not sure if that's what the code is referring to or not. It was a great day, thanks. We were forecasted snow in the day, but it decided to be gray and drizzly instead. Perfect for being snugged inside with good people and good food. Nice, yeah. Okay, so that is going to manipulate it, but only by switching x1 for x2 and y1 for y2, and only in the case that one of them is bigger than the other. Basically putting them in either, is it, so if x1 is greater, then they get swapped. So it's putting them in ascending order. It wants the ones to be lower than the twos, which makes some sense for displays, kind of. And then we shift after that. So, I mean, my instinct is this is not really a problem because our issue ultimately is not that x1 and x2 are swapped for each other. Our issue is more that both x1 and x2 are plus 1 more than they should be, I think. It would have ended up swapping these two, though. And then shift happens, and then after the, well, the cannon and the shift happen. But we know the canon, we just looked at the code, we know what it's going to do. It's going to end up swapping this for this, so that we have 0, 0, and 1, 1. And then the shift is going to happen, and after the shift, we end up with 319, 320. So the shift actually does seem like a potential place where the bug could be, but this is actually in display IO, not vector IO. Is there anything else that uses this? Plot thickens. That's another hacker's reference. I think so. This is only used by vector IO. So maybe this function actually has potentially the off by 1. Should we print before we can't? I mean, before we shift? Let's go look at shift, I think. Does this handle... as dx, which I guess is distance, maybe? And we printed xy up here, and they were what? $319 and 1. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, shift is not going to be the problem. Shift only just adds... Shift only just adds those. So the x that we're adding is too big. So this x is too big, and this gets set here by taking the absolute transform x, the absolute transform dx, well, absolute transform dx times the y coordinate plus the x coordinate, because we transposed. Interesting, okay. We potentially need a -1 here? What is... are we printing absolute transform and all this stuff? So we have screen area, which prints, yes, absolute transform x and y, and dx and dy, and then scale, and then width, height, then mirror x and mirror y, and then transpose xy. Okay. So transform dx and dy. I think those are distance, I guess. But what would absolute transform x and y, and then dx and dy? We also have a height and a width. I'm not sure what absolute transform is exactly. Okay, let's see what all these are though. So this is when we print get screen area, which is most immediately, or the one that involves the actual rotation here. So x is absolute transform x is on 320. Absolute transform y is on 0. Dx is on -1, dy is on 1. Scale width height. Mirror x is on 1. R, is that transpose? What was T? Yes, that must be transpose. That's the last one. T. That is 1. We're gonna have to figure out what is absolute transform. How did that come about? Because absolute transform X, I'm pretty sure here, I mean, that's the currently earliest place that we've seen what I believe is essentially off by 1, because I mean, that 320 is ultimately making us end up here on 319, but we really want to be on 318 because our code is currently drawing at 0, 0. Excuse me, our code is currently drawing at 1, 1. Make sure if we do draw at 0, 0, not save that. This down to here, because I never saved it. Yeah. Still had the 320 there, and then this time we end up at 320, 0, when we really should have ended up at 319, 0 this time, because I have now moved it to 0, 0. And then our out shape, even down here, is like all the way off the display, although I'm not sure. Not sure what's going on with that one. Let's trying to figure out, I guess, where this absolute transform comes from. So this is the first one, 1 out of 50, right here. The very first thing we do is print it, and this is inside get screen area. Okay, but the very first one on the page is not necessarily... Okay. Okay, so absolute transform starts as null. Update transform... Is this getting called? Hello, Tithe. See, my friend. Update transform called. Yes, this gets called, right? Shift. It only gets used here, and here does have the off by 1 error, but shift, the code inside the shift can't really be the problem, because it's just adding its arguments together, essentially. Gotta take it up with wherever the arguments came from. That seems like absolute transfer. x y. It's not distance. I'm not sure what dx stands for. I was thinking distance as in like it's gonna move that far, but let's sure of that. I mean, I was never sure. Thinking it less now. Yeah, update transform did get called, and in fact, it got called as part of the shape 30 new section, is where we ended up with our wrong values. Okay. So this gets called and it sets absolute value to group transform if it is not null, I guess, probably. All right. It has a bunch of other stuff that I don't think I care about right now. I think at least X really I feel like is it's kind of. Oh, should these not be dots? Probably. And we only ended up printing two things, so let's just. Oh. Yeah. Okay, so, and let me just confirm, if we do 1, 1, that's going to be 319 instead of 320, right? It's not just always saying 320 because the display is 320? In fact, we could do 1, 0. We'll just do. Right, so there's pre-rotation. Ah, is always just 320. Okay. So absolute transform X, I don't think then is the problem. I guess we want to be on 320 probably. Absolute trans, so dx, and then we are multiplying by y. Dx is, I guess, -1 or +1. At least when we printed here. But this is also without transpose, so I think this is before we actually did anything. Okay, yeah, here we go. Transform. These are all 0. Interesting. So this one actually did have a dx and a dy. Maybe that is distance. I'm back to thinking maybe that is distance. What's up, Johnny? Nice to see you, my friend. Why would we have that one scaled? Why would we have that one with distance? This one also has a scale of 0, though. That makes no sense. I don't know what's up with that. This one being all zeros is weird, I think. Okay, this is also not where we get the wrong output either still here, so. Okay, here we go. So dx is -1. mx, which is mirror x, that is 1. Transpose xy is 1. So dx is -1, so we're multiplying -1 times y, which we are currently on 1, 1, so we end up on -1. And we add absolute transform x, which is 320. So 320 plus -1 is 319. So is absolute transform x, should that be 319? But I also still don't quite grok where that came from. But it doesn't change. Does it matter that it doesn't change? What's up, C. Grover? Matter that it doesn't change. Well, that's interesting. Actually got some action inside of there. I guess, oh, because I did 55 or whatever. So this is like scanning down the screen, I guess. Which makes sense, I suppose, because I think fill area does do one line at a time. So there's the weird one with zeros. Okay, yeah. Always 320. So should it be 319, or should we Like, should we go about trying to figure out where this was set initially and -1 on it? Or should we leave it alone and just -1 here, essentially? I'm thinking. See, that's tough because this just gets called from who knows where. An absolute transform, that's a larger concept, so I'm inclined not to go and change that. I think the 320 is probably correct there, I guess. But the calculation inside Vectorio that's using it, then I think maybe. '81 it gets called. In shared bindings. A protocol implementation. Update transform. To update transform. Yeah. I have no idea who's calling that. I guess display IO core, maybe? I have no idea who's calling update transform. And therefore, I have no idea where group transform comes from. Because group transform gets passed to here. And ultimately is the thing that gets set into absolute transform. So group transform is where the 320, where the x equaling 320 comes from. I'm kind of inclined to try -1 here. But I'm not super confident that it's the real solution. But realistically, that's kind of it's gonna. If I do stumble onto the real solution, I'm probably not going to be that confident that it's right. Although if I see it work in all 4 orientations, will go a long way towards convincing me. And it would be ideal if we don't touch much code outside of Vectorio or any. I've added some prints in here, I think. At this point, maybe, or if I change, what's different in this? Change something? No. Kind of, but not really. Ideally, we're not changing any code outside of Vectorio. I don't think that this bug exists outside. We are randomly on 54. Let's get back to 0. Okay. So now we have 319.0, which seems correct. But Didn't draw. Still didn't draw, even with 2. So I think that we must be not. So we're changing stuff in here, but I guessing that we're not affecting the dirty area correctly. So the original location is dirty. Now we got swapped Y here. Ah, 10. Will this draw anything? Does eventually draw something. But 2-2 didn't do it? Maybe I needed to do height instead of width, probably. So that should be drawing 2 pixels, but it's actually only drawing 1. We're still off by 1. So is... Need -1 on the other one? But I mean, in 90, we're only off by 1. Orientation. Did I put it on the wrong one? Did I put it in the wrong place? Went from 0, 0 to 1, 2. Over 1, down 2. Then the new one out. Tries to go from 318, 0 to 321. But that's exclusive on this end. We started just using index 0, not using index 1. So 18 and 19, not 20. And then yes, 0 and not 1. Which actually, that out area sounds correct to me for a 2x1 that we have here. But only one of the pixels actually gets drawn. I mean, this would be super odd if one of these needed a -1 and the other one didn't, right? Like, that doesn't really make a lot of sense. Okay. So that does not get drawn. I think it's one pixel outside here. So it's basically at index 320 when it should be at index 319. But the out shape is showing correctly now 319, 0, 321. And that sounds right in my head. But overlaps. The first one, 0, 0, 321. So the first row, an area 0, 320, 1, 1. Okay. Sure. About overlap 319. We found some overlap. We have XY of 0, 0. We have transform of all these things. Line stride. We have line offset. We have all offset. I don't know what that does. Depth 16. PVB shape rectangle. Pixel index 19. Pixel before 319A. Or what A? Oh, that's A and B. The are the DXs and DYs, I think, or something. 19, 0 sounds correct. But pixel 319, 0. Oh yeah, this is. I was confused by this output yesterday. Oh. So get pixel, some kind of hex thing, one value, and then arrow another value. So in my head, this feels like input output, but yeah, I mean, it is input. Well, it says input and then pixel to get. Get pixel. And that's where our 319.0 is. And from that, it says pixel to get. So it's going from the screen coordinates back into the shape coordinates. Yeah. Okay. Um. So it's wrong though. It should be Maybe they both need -1? They would both need -1. But this should be 0, 0. Should be 0, 0. Because in the shape coordinates, 0, 0 is where our rectangle is at. So if we're saying, like, I'm assuming what's going to happen here is so the screen is saying, hey, give me the data for pixel 319, 0. Vectorio is here saying, oh yeah, no problem. The data for that pixel is located in the shape coordinates of 0, 1, but that's wrong. It should be 0, 0. The thing we've drawn here, there is no 0, 1, so 0, 1 is transparent, presumably. Doesn't count. Got a transparent pixel, not fully covered, therefore we don't draw anything. So we need this 319, 0 needs to be looking at 0, 0 in the shape coordinate system. And we are where? We are inside of fill area. Get pixel before said what? Get pixel before said 319, 0. And then we went inside of here. So A is outshape, which got passed to us as pixel to get. So actually, it's a little weird. This takes self, it takes x as an int, y as an int, unsigned int. Outshape x and outshape y. Okay, pixel to get x, pixel. Okay, so we do have two ints. Reference, those are going to get filled inside of there. So we print them right after we did this. Okay. Did I ever, so I have now swapped around the one that had the -1. Did I ever make, I don't know if I made a build. And I definitely don't think I put it on the device. We had a -1 here and I changed it to here. Maybe we need it in both, but I'm not sure. Nice. Throttling IO stuff going on there. Yeah. I mean, here, we're definitely wrong, because we're 320, 321. I mean, honestly, it feels like we're off by 2. No. No, we're off by 1. Yeah. I'm not sure if that's our -1. I'm not sure. Not sure. Anyway, let's put it on both and see what happens. We are currently in the transpose XY case only, though, so this is not going to affect the other ones, although these two lines of code are basically the same. So if they are wrong here, maybe they're also wrong here. Yeah. I don't think this can be right because now we don't even have the one with fill area where there was an overlap. So this is the closest it's gotten, I think, but it's still wrong. I don't know if I'm gonna make it solving this. And I will probably give up at some point because it is only 1 pixel. Yeah, see, because without the other one, we actually get a fill area fill. This is where we have our display is asking for pixel data for 319.0, but we're actually looking at 0.1. We should be looking at 0.0. So the -1 here, I guess, seems good, but that I still think I don't know actually. Like that feels kind of wrong, probably, right? Like why would one of these need a -1 and not the other one? That does not really track in my head. But definitely when we put it on both, we end up like I think we end up too far up, and that means that the display never asks us for -1. Or maybe it asks us and we just tell it that it's off the display or whatever. One way or another, we don't draw anything because, or we don't fill area anything because it's outside. And this is the pixel to get which comes from screen to shape coordinates, which takes the input pixel and the references to the variables to update or whatever. So maybe we need -1s here too? We're back into absolute transform. And just for my sanity here, where did we do this? Let's R transpose XY. And if we don't have this, then it looks like the display is asking us for pixel 320, is that correct? And we are translating it to what, if so? Is it still 0, 1, or... We don't get any fill area if we do that. Which to me does kind of imply it's asking for 320, whatever, but that's outside the display, so it doesn't, nothing happens. Okay. We don't get to see what it translates to. I mean, I gotta think that's supposed to be there then, but I'm pretty sketched by it not being here too. So maybe it's supposed to be here too, and then also maybe there is a bug in here. Because we ultimately end up with outshape y also being too big by 1. Because get pixel prints outshape, which is called pixel to get xy. So to get xy comes from this, which calls it outshape internally. And so outshape internally gets an x and a y set to these things. And then you do actually print it once for A. We end up with A as 0 minus 1. We then do these dx dys, and after that's done, we ended up flopping the y to be positive. And then that's where our 0, 1 came from. I'm wondering maybe if this is not supposed to be minus 1. Maybe it's supposed to be something inside absolute transform. Like, should it be 1 times mirror? No, because we don't want to do minus. We're only transposing. I don't know. What? Oh, because we started as minus 1, so I guess we want plus 1, and we ended up swapping the signs around, and yeah. Started out minus 1, I guess, because input x was 319 minus absolute transform x, that's 320, so there's our minus 1 minus dx, or dx times y. Y is 0, so that should be 0, so minus 0. So 319 minus 320, that's how we ended up with minus 1. So if it was 318, we would have ended up with minus 2. Okay. Sure if that's right or not. What? Still 0, 2. Oh, okay. That's the wrong one. Okay, did that draw? It's a pixel. It drew. Holy crap. Okay. Okay. So other things work, or did I literally fix the 1x1 pixel case? Please tell me some other things work. So if I did like width 2, I think that's bigger. Pretty sure that got bigger. Why though? Yeah, totally. Okay. Yeah, I've never been happier to see a dot in the corner. So I think this time we end up with 2 wide. It's like pretty hard to see, but I do think that, again, that is a little bit bigger than 1 by 1 like this. Yeah, so basically, and since we're rotated 90, it makes sense. So if we go 2 by 1 here, after we rotate 90, we end up with 2 wide, 1 tall, and the opposite the other way. So if we do 2 width, we end up with 2 tall, 1 wide, because we've rotated. Okay, so that is working. Hooray. Does 180 completely wreck everything? Well, actually, let's go back to 0 first. Sure we didn't break the 0 case. Okay. Oh. Please tell me that's at 0, 0. Not 1, 1. I see a little gap there. 0, 0. We could shift the group back by 1 and see if it still draws. That's 0, 0, 0, 0. I guess it's 0, 0. Let me try this. Let me shift the group back by 1 and see if it still draws. Because I swear to my eye, that looks like there's an extra pixel there, right? I guess it's just the way the light's working, though. But we can just say main group, because this can be negative, I'm pretty sure. You just say -1. We could do Y also, but I don't think it matters. Let's do both. Should be off the screen. We should do them probably one at a time, actually. Okay, so that does go off the screen. Do only X. That should also be off the screen. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just the way the light glow looks in the camera. Yeah, makes it look like there's an extra pixel, but there's not. Okay, good. Whew. Man, if I had broken the 0 case. Need a background color? Yeah. Yeah, that would actually help, true. Then it wouldn't be black. Yeah, good point. What would I use? I could change to use red and yellow. Red and yellow are pretty hard. I'm gonna stick with it for now and check the other rotations real quick. So 180. So in 180, we were off in two orientations, I'm pretty sure. So I suspect we now, with the current code, are technically only off in one orientation. But being off in one orientation and trying to draw on the very edge still won't work. We can load up this one. Oh. Okay. Would that be any faster if I wasn't connected to it? No. Boy, that is mighty unfortunate. Because I really want to know if it's going to draw down here or not. And that is going to take forever. cannot... Oh, also, I can't stop it. I could reset button. But if I reset button, it's going to run again. We could go to bootloader and change it to one that doesn't print. That's what we can. Yeah. The logging totally is making it take way longer. We didn't notice it really before because I was doing the 1 pixel 1, but I just changed it to 1, which is essentially, well, it's two rectangles first of all, and they're both almost. One of them is the full size of the display, and one of them is almost the full size of the display. Okay, so this is on rotation 0 currently, and it draws all the way around, which is good. Yeah, angle of the camera kind of makes that one look weird, but it is all the way there. It's still off by 2. But that's because this is not a transpose one. So is the 270 case fixed? Maybe the 270 case is fixed. No. And in fact, now the 270 case is worse. Because I'm pretty sure in the original code, that 270 was only off on one edge. You're now off on 2. Maybe we should only be doing it when one of these is true? Maybe it should be like times -1 and also -1? Like flip the sign and subtract 1? Does that make any? That might be the solution, actually. We're gonna have to turn the logging back on. And I guess I would like some logs inside of here as well. So we know which one of these is happening on 90 and which one is happening on 270. That is indeed happening. Yeah. The 270 with the original code is only off on one edge. And with the code that I just changed, it was off on 2 edges. So we fixed the 90 case, but we broke the 270 by more. Oh boy. I feel like having coordinates begin at 0, 0 for the convenience of zero-base indexes is a real mistake. It messes with all the calculations that take one off of width and height. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'll be right back. Okay. So I think can't. But we also really need that one thing to be 319. Okay, let's switch back to 1 pixel. Turn the logs back on. Because we really need that thing to be 319. So we either have to figure out a way to change it elsewhere and make it so that we're not looking at 320.0 and instead are looking at 319.0, or we have to have that line that did that. One way or another, we need to end up looking at 319.0. And we, in the case of 90, we also then need to be specifically translating it to shape coordinate 0, 0 when we are doing this 1 pixel one I'm about to go back to. And when both of those things are correct, we actually draw correctly. When we look for 319.0 on the display and it gets translated to 0, 0 on the shape. Apparently forgot to call root group, I guess. Oh. Oh, okay. For one of these. Okay, so we're back in the original code. Back to 1 pixel. Let me add some more prints. I still am unclear what the dx and dy in absolute transform stand for. If that, I don't know if that's distance or something else. Ultimately, it ends up. I mean, it can't be distance per se, because all this is doing is saying. I mean, to me, it looks like it's basically saying, is it 1 or 0? Or maybe -1. I guess it could be -1. Maybe it's going to be -1 or +1. But then it's just outshape, flip the sign. Delta, change from initial. So that's kind of how I was imagining distance, but it's always I think it's always ones. I'll have to make a bigger shape to be sure, I guess. It feels like, I don't know. I'm not sure that I wrap my head around it, because we have a mirror x already, so, and we have an x and we have a y. We have a location, we know whether we're mirrored or not. I don't get what the delta x concept would really represent. We already know those other things. And I guess more specifically, I don't know whether it's supposed to represent a number of pixels or whether it's supposed to represent just like a positive or a negative for flipping. Like here, it makes it seem like it's just going to be a positive or negative for flipping. But then if that's the case, like, why do we have dx, dy, assuming they are positive, negative for flipping? Why do we have those and mirror x, mirror y, and transpose xy? Do we not, is there not some overlap conceptually between those? So then in my head, I'm like, maybe they do represent pixels and not. But then if they represent pixels, why would we ever want to just flip the sign based on a number of pixels? Okay, so this is dx was less than 1. And I'm actually going to do this after, and we're going to print the out shape. Might as well just print both, even though only one of them changed. Yeah, I think I just did %d earlier. I'm not sure what the 3 does, but... Oops. Delta for coordinates plus rotation. We'll make a bigger shape here in a minute as well. We can see, I feel like I've always seen it as ones, but we've been working on a 1 size thing for a time. I didn't turn the prints back on. And this is currently original code, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, original code. Which puts us outside the display, which means we don't get a fill area fill with anything useful in it. We don't get the one with the arrow. The one that was saying 319.0 and then 01. We don't get that because we are outside. So in order to even get that one, we have to make the first one of the changes. We would have to uncomment this. And then it would be 319.0 and it would say 01 and it still wouldn't draw. Go to the other one and it would. But did we get any of our new prints anywhere currently? So we said dx minus dx less than. We currently do not have any of those. Nor dy. But maybe it's because we are outside display. So let me put this one back, I guess. But I am still very sketched out by one of these having a -1 and not the other one. I think that's super unlikely to be correct, kind of. I almost like, maybe it should be like, it almost should be like, it maybe should be like -1 if this is negative, and then don't minus anything if it's positive. Or something like that. Maybe that's the logic we need. Instead of just one of these having -1 and the other one not, That's probably only the case for 90. And maybe 270 or like whatever, right? Like that's probably only the case for some of them. And then on the other ones, maybe we don't want the -1. Because we really only need to -1 if we have like if we're drawing on the right edge or the bottom edge, essentially. If we flipped to be drawing on one of those two edges, that's when we want a -1. All right, so there's our fill. There's our 319, our 01. Transparent, so it didn't draw. Did we get any of our new stuff? Did we get this at all? Yeah, this does really not like to have that open when new things appear in the terminal. We did. So, did we get the other one too, or just that one? Only that one is like, but this thing is really doesn't like appearing. I don't really trust it. Okay, we only have one. We have dx1. Okay, so in 90 we are dx -1. Not minus, but less than. That is setting out shape y. So maybe we need to flip it and minus by 1. What happens if you do a -1 here? I don't know how order of operations is going to treat that. I'm just going to also do another that way. I mean, that kind of makes sense. When we're flipping it is pretty much when we need to -1. Let me go find, so yeah, dx is -1, dy is +1. But we also have mx and my, and mx is 1, so mirror x is true, mirror y is false. Dx, I mean, is dx just always -1 when mx is 1, true? And dy is always 1 when mirror y is always is false, maybe? That could be it, maybe. Maybe it's just like a convenience way to not to be able to have a Boolean mirror x and mirror y, but then in the code it needs to ultimately multiply, so it wants a negative value. Not sure. That's my current guess. All right, we are in bootloader. We should be back to the pixel, yeah. So we are back to the pixel. So have we... Do I think that 270... Did I even try 270 with the pixel one? I don't think I did. I went to 180 and then I went to the rectangle test. We have the prints on, so we definitely do not want the rectangle test, which we learned last time. Okay, no go on 270. Which we were off by 1 on the bottom edge with the rectangle one, so we're low. We're outside. We're too far down by 1. And we did get a fill area fill, but it's wrong. It's doing this again. Okay, so we need to do, and this time we would have, let's close this because it doesn't like that again. Let's say we got dy this time. We got dx again. Wait, did we get dx last time or dy? We got dx last time. Did I rerun this? Am I looking at the wrong part? Hold on. I wish I could clear this. Can't really do that without breaking out of TO. I don't really want to break out of TO. Maybe there's a way to do it, but I don't know how. Do we really get dx again, though? Dx less than 1? So much stuff in this. Okay. No, that's only finding the 1 up there, and it found it, which is how we ended up scrolled past the actual new ones. Okay, okay. I was looking at the wrong one. We do not actually have the fill area fill. We don't have that. We are too far down. I think this tells us pretty much that we're too far down. Which I guess is why we don't have the fill area fill. So we need both of these to be -1, but when I did that earlier, it wrecked it. So is this a combination of we need it here and we need it down there, and that both fixes it when it was broken and then also fixes it in the cases that this broke? That's weird. This returned like way before the thing was done. It was still blinking and everything. It hadn't reconnected. Okay, this looks correct now, but we also still don't have a fill area fill. We are also still somehow messed up. Maybe this being -1 seems wrong. Yeah. Basically, we're too far to the left by 1. So now we're outside to the left. We're no longer outside to the bottom, I think, but now we're outside to the left because of this. So and we're not getting to here, right? We're not even coming to here. So we definitely cannot fix it by adding another one of these here. I really wish that the search was better. I could clear this or something. So I am stuck pretty much. Like, I don't understand how. I don't understand how we can need this on one and having it on the other one makes it not work. Oops. Where does transpose xy? This is right here. That's literally right here. Okay, and what are dx and dy again? I think that it's got to be that, what I was saying earlier, I think is the case. I think it's got to be like, -1 if dx was -1, but not if it wasn't, or something. Because, yeah, so dy was -1 and dx was not. And originally they're both positive. But yeah, I think they're always either negative or +1. And I think they're actually effectively the same information as this. It's just that instead of Boolean, 0 is false, 1 is true, they are like true is 1 and false is -1 because they're used in a math equation that wants to flip the sign. So dy is -1. So would we need to, so we would maybe need to subtract from this one when dy is -1 and subtract from this one when dx is -1, which this is, should this just not be here? Well, no, this needs to be here because this is multiplying. Yeah, I think basically when it's negative, we need to subtract 1. So I don't know if this is the best way to write the code, but it's the easiest way for my brain to understand it visually and mentally, I guess. So if this, if this is -1, then we minus equals 1 here. In semicolon. Tyler happy. And then we will basically have the same thing like this. But it will be dx and it will be y. Maybe there's, I guess, in a way, you know, we could use the mirror x. I was just saying it's the same data. Because the mirror x is 0, what we could actually do is we could say minus mirror x. I think, right? Because if we minus mirror x, when it was positive, it's going to be 0. No. When it was positive, it's going to be 1. Okay, we would need to -1 minus mirror x. We would need to, like, flop mirror x to be 0 instead of 1. Anyway, this, I think, makes the code more clear, truthfully, instead of the math equation, in my head at least. We still don't have a fill area fill though. That didn't work. We're still outside. Did I get those backwards? UI is -1. Let's go back to 90. Break 90? 90 work. Broke 90. Okay. Do we have a fill area fill? I almost wish we could like get a fill area fill even when we were outside, so I could know what numbers it came up with. Have no fill area fill because we're too far over by 1. So in 90, we did get EX was -1. So this should be dx, because for the 90 case, we want this to apply. We need that to apply for the 90 case. So that's got to be dx, and then I assume that's got to be dy. I was thinking they were flopped because it's transpose or whatever, but I think that's wrong. I think they should match. Nice. 90's back to working. Does 270 work? Well, we still have... We still have one fix that's only applied once? No. Okay, this is actually commented out. So right now, the only change, I believe, the only functional change to the like code that's in main is this. There's lots of other extra prints and stuff, but I think that's the only actual changing numbers that we have in here currently. So does 270 work? That would be cool. It did. And then I suspect 180 will not, even if 270 does. No. Did we get a fill area fill? No. And this time dy is -1. I mean, this looks correct to me, though. 0, 239, the 1, 240. So that means basically the pixel 0, 239, which is... That's, you know, in the 0 orientation, that's the pixel that we want on. But yet, when fill area came through, didn't find it still. Ah, I really wish I could see the output of the arrows, like the one that was saying 319,001. That's only happening when we're on when we're when we're on the screen, sort of. But I mean, we should be on the screen here. I actually don't get why it's not happening. But we would have done that this time. Those seem correct to me. On 0, 0 still. Rotation 270. So can we get it to draw? This was 2. Would we see it? Okay. Height is becoming width. But we are too low. The 270 is still broken the same way. Even with this code, 270 still has the exact same broken behavior. I don't know why, because it says 239, which is key. What? Huh? Wait, why does that work? Wait, is my group shift? Oh no, my group is shifted outside. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, well the good news is 90 and 270 both work actually. As news is the bad news is I wasted the last few minutes by. Oh wait, no I didn't. No I didn't. These are commented out. Commented out. Wait, what? How? Hold on. How can this one work on two? Did I ran this on 270? We can see it all the way around. Did I? I'm gonna just delete these, I think. Are these this changing that? Does that make sense? I am lost completely. I have no idea what is even happening anymore. I mean, what? This never draws. Doesn't matter where we put it, it will never draw. So 1x1s are broken? Looks wider than it is tall. So things that have width 1 get cut off. $270 works better than it did originally, arguably. The rectangle reproducer doesn't have any trouble anymore. I don't get at all how the change that I made I don't get how the change that I made can break single width shapes on rotation 270 but not rotation 90. Oh, was I looking for fill area fills in the wrong spot? Pixel. Well, I've moved it to 1010. Okay, I was looking in the wrong spot for the fill area fill. We do actually get a fill area fill. And we basically do have this problem again, where it's flipped around this time. Now the screen is asking for 0, 239, and we're trying to give it 1, 0 shape coordinate. That's wrong. But why? So this one has dy as -1. But that was the fix in the other place. But we ended up not needing that for 90? Did we end up not needing that for 90? Yeah, we don't. The code we have now works on 90. Was there another change I forgot about? And then fill area fill is at the beginning. It's only at the beginning because it starts in the top left, basically. And that one's good. So for 90, that's good. Should it be +1? Really not. Should this be +1? I think so, right? Okay, back to 270. Okay, it's at the bottom. Actually, that's nice. We don't have to scroll as far. So transpose xy, xy is right here. So we want that to be 0, 0. We want these to be 0, 0 right here. When was that? Transpose xy, and then x comma y. I don't actually have that here. Why here? So we don't have that. We're not transpose xy. We don't have this? Not have this. Okay. Have it up here. This is the last one? Yeah. So right there, it printed out 0239, which is correct. And then did we get one of these? I think we would have, probably. Y. Then we got these things happened. And transpose happened. Those look correct again. But those are wrong. Okay. Do I have a change I forgot about? I have changes I didn't make. So this is the change I know about. And we changed, kind of both things, X and Y. There it is. There it is. Okay. There it is. Totally forgot that we actually... So I scrolled down and saw this commented one. I forgot we actually moved this to inside of the if statement here, which makes sense because that's ultimately how it was up there. Okay. Fingers crossed. Nice. Oh, my alphabet order apparently. So 270.00, so that works. So now 90 and 270 both work. Could not see that at first, and I was like, oh my gosh, please. 90 and 270 both work. I'm going to double check that 0 still works. 70 is down there. 0 shouldn't be broken because dx and dy should be false or whatever. It shouldn't have changed the logic for 0. And then, but 180 is still going to be broken because 180 doesn't use transpose XY. 180 has a separate branch of logic. It's the else instead of the transpose XY. So both of these, I think in both of these chunks of code, actually, yeah. So the two pieces of code we've touched are inside get screen area right here, and the same one for the Y right there. And then inside screen to shape coordinates right here and right here. And both of these are if absolute transform transpose XY, if absolute transform transpose XY. But they both also have an else. And I'm assuming we basically will want basically pretty much the same things. Basically, I think. And yeah, we will need them here as well. They are swapped this time. I suspect we'll need them here as well, at least. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Oh! Wow, that is insane how it does not look like it's there. It is like impossible to, like, that's the angle it was sitting at, and I was like, oh no, it failed. But it is actually there, it's just the angle is does not like the camera shot. Okay. We did it. Cannot believe we did it, but we did it. I'm gonna turn the prints back off. I'm gonna test the rectangle test, and then I'm probably gonna wrap it up for now. I will clean this up and PR it sometime if the rectangle test works. But I'm pretty sure it will. Whew. Yeah, thank you. Good. Make it there eventually. Took a while. We had to stare at this, look back and forth at the printouts a lot. But that's how I solve problems sometimes. We're doing that thing again where this, like, oh, we're doing that thing again where I just never actually ran the copy command. The first time we've done that thing. So we're not doing it again, but we are doing it. Thought we were doing that thing again where it just, like, finished but didn't really. Bottom right corner, yeah, for whatever reason, the angle on that bottom right corner compared to the top-down cam, it's just the angle it doesn't want to pick up. All right, 180. I mean, it shouldn't affect 90 and 270. I'm going to run 90 and 270. It really should not have changed with the new code we just did because of the way that that's else. So my understanding is transpose XY is used for 90 and 270, and then mirror X and mirror Y are used for 180. And mirror X and mirror Y, one each is used for 90 and 270, but both are used for 180 and not transpose. I understand. May or may not be correct. this, we get this, and then run it. Yes, 270, 90. Yes, and 180. Yes. Hooray. There is... Do I still have the arc thing? I had code that was like... Put the code? Maybe I put the code. I'm curious to test one other thing, actually, which is the reproducer that ultimately led to this coming up. Did I just overwrite that? Thought I would have kept that. What it would be called? Maybe let's look by edited. 8. Shapes issue. Okay, it's one of these actually. Yeah. Sweet. So this also fixed this problem. It was ultimately the same problem, turns out. The vector IOs being off by 1 caused this thing to look messed up also, because this thing uses 1 vector IO polygon and 1 bitmap, 1 display shapes polygon. Uses display shapes polygon for the outlines, uses vector IO polygon for the fill. Because vector IO polygon was off by 1, it means we have this extra pixel here, this extra pixel here, you know, all the way around here. All of that looking messed up. Okay, and this did fix it because we're still on 180 right now because my code doesn't currently change it. And I, at one point, edited the library to print out a million extra things, which is what all this is. Biportal TFT has some interesting viewing angle issues. Yeah, seem to be colored. I've seen that as well, too, yeah, where certain colors are much harder to see at certain angles. I have actually... I don't remember which ones and where, but I do remember running across that one day. Sweet. All right. I am going to wrap it up there. Thank you for hanging out, folks. I appreciate you. Hope you all have a good rest of your weekend. Hope everyone had a happy Thanksgiving. I think that Scott maybe is back for deep dive this week, but I haven't actually talked to him specifically about it, so I'm not 100% positive. But in any case, I should be back next Saturday at the normal time, 10 a.m. Central Time. And yeah, we'll play it by ear on deep dive. But I think he's gonna do a couple, and then he'll be gone again, and I'll fill back in if I can. Yeah, thanks y'all. I appreciate y'all. Hope y'all have a nice day. We'll see you later.